I am an 84-year-old Mexican citizen who loves and admires the U.S. I graduated from a U.S. university 63 years ago. I have been very happily married for 62 years to my New Yorker sweetheart. For decades, we have seen the U.S. as the shining example of what a great society is. When we used to compare it to our Latin American countries, we could easily see why we were considered third world entities. Here in Latin America, we have been accustomed for decades to see the terrible corruption of our governments and our politicians, the abuse of power, the unjust, arbitrary, and deceitful treatment of political opposition, the manipulation of the media, and the outright lying to the citizens. Many of our Latin American presidents adopted quasi-imperial powers, making, changing, or disobeying laws at their convenience, and utilizing populist slogans which only furthered poverty, but still got the people's votes. We, the citizens, had to accept many other painful restrictions because our complaints and grievances were seldom taken into account. Traveling to the U.S. was like a breath of fresh air, like a liberation of our imagination, like a prayerful hope that someday, in the distant future, we could live under similar conditions. Unfortunately, now, when we travel to the U.S., we are very sad to witness the accelerating decline of your great society, especially in the last few years. Your enormous national debt, your unemployment rate, your poverty index, your crawling economy are not an example to the world anymore. Many of us are very worried to see that your moral and ethical values are steadily declining, and lies, corruption, and self-indulgence are continuously permeating your government. Your great healthcare system, which has been a wonderful example for the world, even with its imperfections, is being substituted by a new healthcare system that the majority of Americans dislike, according to the Gallup poll. I am not trying to criticize you. These thoughts are more like a sorrowful cry, praying for divine help for your wonderful country and asking for the restoration of the former prestige and power of the U.S. around the world. In the last few years, I've seen that the general attitude of millions of U.S. citizens has changed from an exemplary sense of self-reliance and independence to a self-minimizing dependence on government handouts. You don't have to learn from what happened with Greece, Portugal, and Spain with their corruption and excessive and careless government spending. Just see what sadly happened in your own backyard in Detroit's bankruptcy. Lately, your society has been led towards a steadily polarizing situation between the poor and the rich, and sadly, the race card seems to be flourishing again. As foreigners, we can't help but notice that this is exponentially compounding the problems of your great nation. All of these things make me very sad and frustrated. The best permanent helping hand for any individual is at the end of his own arm, not at the end of the government's arm. I remember very vividly what your great President Jack Kennedy said. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This powerful attitude has changed in the last few years, and I feel that many Americans who don't need this help are being led to take practical advantage of what their country can do for them. This goes against what your founding fathers envisioned as the spirit of their great liberating dream. My prayers for the renewal of your great American dream and the reinforcement of the great world image of the USA are with you. So be it. Amen. Good luck, Americans.